What's going on, everyone? It's James here from LFC Transfer Room. I am today joined with Drew and Jamie as we have a look at the Premier League fixtures coming up over the weekend. So this episode, we take a little bit of a step away from Liverpool. We look at what's going on with the other teams in the Premier League and then probably finish talking about Liverpool, let's be honest. But first and foremost, Jamie, how are you doing? You were at the final, weren't you?
Yeah, buzzing from it. Unfortunately, come back with COVID, but it was worth it for the final. It was absolutely fantastic the whole day out, the singing, the win on penalties, the way it happened. So amazing day. Just still living in the moment, really. But tomorrow, different challenge, and looking forward to that one as well.
Focus back on tomorrow, isn't it? We're going back to work. And Drew, how's your week been?
I'm doing good. I had one more chance to celebrate the win. I had a league game last night, and there were a bunch of Chelsea fans on my team, so I got to rub it in one more time. But fully focused on this weekend now.
Oh, well, thing is, I don't know many Chelsea fans that I can rub it in with, but I think they've got bigger concerns than losing the Carabao Cup at the moment, and we will come on to that in a little while, just to sort of talk about the demise or hopeful demise of what will be Chelsea Football Club. But as always, we're going to go through some of the Premier League fixtures. Make sure that you get your comments in. Make sure that you put your questions in and things that you think are coming up this weekend. But the first game of Premier League weekend is Leicester City Leeds United, and I think it's going to be an absolute cracker of a game. If you think Leeds have just lost Bielsa, Leicester not on a great run of form. Drew, how do you see this one going?
I think you nailed it with it's going to be a cracker. I don't think Leicester are kind of in that safety net zone where they don't really have anything to play for domestically, and Leeds need the result. So they have, Jesse Marchin, American coach. So I'm excited to see how he does. I want him to do well. And I think this could be a very exciting game. Maybe a draw. Maybe Leeds can pick up 3 points, but should be very exciting. Players have a chance to impress. They need to show up for more than, multiple reasons. And Leicester, probably look more than anything, Rodgers doesn't want them to get in the habit of losing or not performing at their best. So it should be interesting.
Yeah, I don't know whether the form table comes into the reckoning here, Jamie, but when you look at Leeds, obviously they've lost 4 in a row. Leicester, before their win, their last game was a win, was a draw, loss, and then they've won. But when a new manager comes in, does the form table really mean anything?
Yeah, exactly. The last 5 games or whatever's happened this season is out the window. Now you look at your position in the league and where they can go from that. I'm not sure much of this Jesse March, but I've heard that he's very similar to Bielsa in the way he's positive football. So I'm glad we won't see another 10-man part of the bus team down there. So that should be good. I think you look at the challenge as a new manager and you think it's a winnable game. Leicester haven't had the articulate season that they have in the past couple. Where are they now? Mid-table, lower half of the table. So normally at this time of year, they're battling amongst the European places. So I think it's a winnable game for Leeds. It's a sucker punch that it's not at home for them and that Elland Road can't get the crowd going. But like you said, form for Leeds is completely out the window when a new manager comes in. It's just how they can pick up and if they can stay up.
Yeah, and do get your score predictions in the chat, of what you think that sort of that game's going to be between Leicester and Leeds. Matty, what new manager at Leeds against Leicester? How do you see this one going? I mean, Leeds are 2 points away from relegation zone. This guy could be in the bottom 3 before he even gets going.
Yeah, it's a tough job for him, to be fair. I rate him. I really do rate him. I think he was unlucky in his first start of his spell, really, at Leipzig, and I do think he is a good fit for Leeds. Leicester have been playing poorly as well, to be fair. They are on a great run of form. So teams under new managers usually do well for the first few games. So maybe Leeds win. Maybe it'd be I don't really know because Leicester don't even threaten us anymore, so I don't really pay attention to them games. But I do think Leeds could win because even though they did look really bad against us, to be fair.
All right, I'm going to do score predictions because then if you appear on, if you're on it next week, I can tell you how many got right. So Leicester versus Leeds. Drew, let's start with you. Score predictions.
I'll give Jesse the benefit of the doubt. 2-1 Leeds.
Jamie?
Yeah, he's took the scoreline right from my mouth as well. I was going to say 2-1 manager bounce, 2-1 to Leeds.
Matty, hat trick?
Yeah, I'll go 2-1 Leeds as well, to be fair.
Oh, so no one really giving Leeds a shot.
What about yourself, James?
Leicester a shot. Despite the Vardy back, and obviously that was what brought the first win. So it'll be an interesting one to watch. It's the early kickoff, so it's always a good one to watch. The next game on the list is an interesting game. It's Aston Villa versus Southampton. Southampton have been on a great run of form at home, matching Liverpool's type of thing. And Villa have been, new 50,000 seat stadium announced, 180 million turnover. That's an increase of 50 million. Puts them in the top 20 clubs in world football. Villa look to be trying to turn themselves into quite a powerful club, Jamie. What do you think about what Villa are doing at the moment?
Yeah, they're a club of very high inspirations up at the top. They're very well done. You can see with the business that they've done since the sale of Jack Grealish how ambitious they are and how they want to move on forward. I think they'll be looking for a European spot next season. They'll be looking at the likes of West Ham and Wolves and how they're pushing on and thinking, why can't they do that? They've definitely got the money to throw at it. They've just got Steven Gerrard, who I think is a brilliant manager. I don't think he's had the greatest start. You look at his centre backs in choices, and I think how far can he work with them until the end of the season? And then they go and get a new centre back, and the way they're moving forward as a club is massive, considering they was in the Championship 2 seasons ago, and they're only still in the Premier League because of that dodgy VAR decision against Sheffield United, and they stay up by a point. So unbelievable, really. I think if you're a Villa fan, you're really excited for the future. I think this season's kind of a write-off at the moment and preparation for the future for definite. But I think tomorrow they've got really their hands full with Southampton.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the form table, Drew, Villa won, drawn, lost, won. Whereas Southampton, it's drawn, won. Southampton are the team on better form at this moment in time. So are we thinking that they're the one that's going to sort of be dictating play and Villa are going to have to catch them on the counter?
I'm sure since it's at home, Steven Gerrard will definitely want them to have a go at it. Aston Villa have performed better at home than away. But Southampton's just on a wave right now. Like even, they knocked out West Ham in the FA Cup and we play West Ham tomorrow, but we know West Ham has surprised many this season. They've been steadily growing. So the fact that Southampton, even in a cup game, can show up and 3-1 that they beat West Ham. Like they're very impressive. So I don't know as much about them dictating the entire game. I'm imagining Gerrard will set his team up to frustrate them and do as much as they can. But I think this one's got 1-1 draw on it. Written all over.
I'll jot it down now, Drew, so that'll come back to you. And Matty, Ralph Hasselhütten, fucking hell. The manager of Southampton. A couple of 9-0 defeats, but they're stuck with him. They like the way that he played. They like the way he was going about developing the squad. He worked really hard on James Ward-Prowse. Is it sort of demonstration of what happens if you stick by a manager that eventually they get things right?
Yeah, to an extent. I do believe every manager should be given time. When managers get sacked dead quick, it always makes me think, like, what's the point? What can they do there? But with Southampton, they've been decent this season. It's probably one of the best positions in the league they've been in a while. But I've got nothing but an Aston Villa win for this, to be honest with you. I'm confident. Aston Villa have got a game in hand on Southampton as well. So if they win the game in hand and they beat Southampton, that's like a 6-point game. Aston Villa will probably find himself in the 8th or 9th place because they'd be on 36 points. They would have took the points off Southampton as well. So I can't see nothing but an Aston Villa win. They've invested really, really well. The attraction of Steven Gerrard's fantastic, really, to get Felipe Coutinho into Aston Villa. And I've said on streams, I would have took him. Everyone was saying, no, he's finished and stuff. And he's came in and made a massive impact with Aston Villa. And they have bought well. And I think that Coutinho's that little spark that they needed. And Southampton, we've seen it. They have got a heavy defeat in them if you take the game to them. So Gerrard would have done his research. He's got a fantastic coaching staff. You don't go, as weak as the Scottish League is, you don't go a whole season unbeaten if you're not got a good manager with a good coaching setup behind you. So you'll know that. And I think Villa will really take the game to Southampton. And I can't see nothing but a Villa win, to be honest.
What score are you going for, Matty?
3-1 Villa.
– Jamie, round it up.
I'm going
to
to
draw
go.
with 3-1 Villa.
Yeah, I'm going to go for the differentially. I'm going to back Ralph Hasenhüttl. I think he's going to do it. I'm going to go 2-1 Southampton away win.
So,
James,
we've got.
Are you not getting in on this yourself?
Sorry? Oh, no,
I'm
I'm hosting this. It's you guys that have got to put your neck on the line. I'm the one that's going to poke fun on you on Twitter when you get it wrong. Burnley, Chelsea. So, Chelsea could very much find themselves as Burnley in a few years' time, depending on who buys them. But being sold for $3 billion probably means that someone with a bit of money is going to get involved. However, we've seen Conor McGregor been linked to it a few times. This has everything written as a Chelsea win, considering how they played against us. But, Jamie, do you think it's going to go that way?
I'm not sure. The problem is it's Burnley. I never know with Burnley. I think they're doing a great job at the minute, Sean Dyche. He's becoming the pragmatic Sean Dyche that we all know, the Sean Dyche that always stays up. And I was the first one to tell you, possibly like last month, that Burnley were relegated this season, and I was celebrating in doing so. And now I think they're going to do it, and you just can't predict Sean Dyche. So Turf Moor, Chelsea, with whatever's going on upstairs, will get to him. I'm not sure. I wouldn't say Chelsea comfortable. I think it'll be a very tough game. I might lean towards a draw. I think I'm going to go 1-1.
Sure, not 2-1, just to stick with it somewhere.
No, I'm gonna go 1-1. You never know with Sean Dyche. I think he's trouble.
Looking at the form table, Chelsea have drawn 2, lost 1, but the last 2 have been straight wins. Burnley lost 1-1, drawn, lost. It's not Newcastle form, let's put it that way, Matty. So you really see Burnley getting anything out of it?
My heart wants them to, James. If they get something else, we're clear of Chelsea now. I think first and second is definitely going to be Liverpool or City, but I'm not even bothered about Chelsea, to be honest. I do hope they get a crap owner and they fall off the pedestal a little bit. But Burnley, for me, if they get a win, it's piling the pressure on Everton, and I'd love nothing more than Everton to go down. So my heart's telling me I want Burnley to win, because although Everton have got that game in hand, they need to keep piling the pressure on Everton, and Sean Dyche can pull off masterclasses. He can keep them up. He does it every season, and I really hope he does it this year, because I think Leeds might kick on under Jesse Marsh. I think Brentford might have one final push in them. Newcastle are playing well, so if Burnley don't get wins, Everton are going to stay up, and I don't want that. So I'm going to say Burnley 1-0.
And I think one of the things that strikes me about Burnley is this Weghorst that they brought in, this 6'6" striker for 12 million, seems to be infinitely better than this 25 million pound striker, Chris Wood, that's gone to Newcastle. They seem to have the belief. They've only got a -10 goal difference. They're not exactly conceding goals for fun, Drew. Can Chelsea put them to the sword, really? Or
I think they'll get one of those ones where it's an extremely tough game the whole time. Burnley make a few chances and don't convert, and something like Lukaku or Havertz scores in the 82nd minute, and everyone who's watching hoping for a Chelsea win or a Chelsea loss is just I can't believe 80 minutes and they scored some cheeky goal to get it over the line. But Burnley's been exciting me. I've caught a few games. Weghorst is definitely an exciting player. They're that team. I wouldn't really care if they went down or not, but they made some good purchases. They're making a rally out of it, and I wish them the best. I definitely am on the train of if Everton go down, especially with Frank Lampard as the manager now. Don't know why.
Make it even better, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that'd just be icing on the cake.
What score prediction for you then, Drew?
1-0 Chelsea.
Next on the list is Newcastle United against Brighton Hove Albion. Amanda Staveley came out in the media this week and backed dictator owners. Big shock in her defence of Roman Abramovich. But Newcastle have seriously turned a corner. 4 wins, 1 draw against Brighton, who have been having a great season, but they've been on a run of 3 straight defeats. Matty, which way do you think this is going? Newcastle at home? It seems only one way, according to the form guide.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Newcastle. It's annoying really because I really like Newcastle fans. I like the Geordies, the boss. So I don't want them to go down, to be honest. But just the owners, especially after they're coming out this week and saying that, they just do me head in. And you just know that if they stay up, they're gonna just invest massive in the summer, and it's just more competition. I'm not saying they're gonna win the league next year, but they've invested well in January because look at the form and stuff. Do you know what I mean? But Trippier's out as well. That's a big loss for Newcastle because he's been fantastic for them. Then Brighton are in terrible form. I'd probably go with a Newcastle win, and I reckon we might see a little bit of that new midfielder, like a little spark from him this weekend. I think this might be the weekend. Yeah, I think he might set it on this weekend. So I'm going to go
Newcastle win by how much?
2-1.
And is this the day, Jamie? Is this the day Chris Wood finally gets a goal for Newcastle? Because I don't think he's got one yet. Or is he just basically that wall that everyone kicks everything to and it just bounces off? Is this the day? I'm being harsh. He's not a bad player.
I don't know. Look, he's not the striker I would have put with Newcastle when the new owners come in. I didn't think that they'd be splashing 25 mil on Chris Wood, but in hindsight, possibly it was a clever move to take him off Burnley. We won't know unless Newcastle get dragged back into the relegation zone, but I think they're driving clear of it now. I think I'm a massive fan of Brighton, and I'm a massive fan of Graham Potter, particularly the way he plays his football. I think he's really tactically good. They've had a great season, although they've hit a rocky patch, Brighton, and they can't score goals to save their life. In the last 3 games, they've scored none. And they're leaking goals at the minute, in which their defence has been so solid throughout all season. So I can only see this going one way. And look, Newcastle aren't conceding many either, so I can't see Brighton scoring. And I reckon Newcastle will snatch one. And for my prediction, it will be Newcastle 1, Brighton 0.
You make a good point about Graham Potter. He's one of those exciting managers, but he's English, so no big club's going to want to take a punt on him. Normally, I mean, Drew, do you see Graham Potter as one of the next, I guess, English managers to get a crack in the top 6, or is there someone that's probably higher up? You'd say Sean Dyche has done it for longer, but he's never going to really be given a big opportunity, is he? Graham Potter, that guy, because it's attacking, exciting football, isn't it?
Yeah, I was about to say the way he plays football is conducive with top clubs. So I'm surprised he hasn't got a shot already. I would imagine if Gerrard didn't take the Aston Villa job, maybe that's someone they would have looked for. But he definitely deserves a club in that echelons where they can spend, and he has money to build his own team and really make a go of doing something in the Premier League. Brighton, unfortunately, it doesn't look like they have the resources. But over the years, they've shown they can beat big clubs. So that comes down to Graham Potter's tactics there. So it's unfortunate to see them on a bad run of form, especially not scoring. I think they will get a goal, but Newcastle's got the wind in their sails and they need the points. And if they can just get a few more results to get them clear into safety, I think these are the games where they push the pedal all the way down to the ground to get the results. So 2-1 for Newcastle.
Now, the next game on my list is the game of the weekend. It's the one we're all going to be queuing into. It's Norwich against Brentford. which I can see you're all excited. So I'm not going to talk much about it. I'm just going to go straight predictions. I'll start with you, Matty. Straight predictions. Norwich at home against Brentford. Norwich have lost the last 3. Brentford have lost the last 3. One of them's going to do better.
Yeah, I'm going to go for a Brentford win just because it keeps them above Everton and it lets me laugh at them a little bit more.
Score?
1-0.
Jamie?
I'm debating between a Norwich win or a draw, and I think I'm going to go 1-1.
And Drew?
0-0.
It's not
A cracker.
I mean, they both concede goals for fun, but they don't score many, so it probably is 3-3, Descent says. Oh, Matthias wants an Ericsson 1-0. Do you know what? I am going to look forward to watching Christian Eriksen. I didn't watch Brentford game the other day, but it's cracking to see him back in the Premier League. I'm surprised someone a little bit higher up didn't go for him, but obviously Brentford with their Danish connections, it made sense, didn't it? Next on the list is Wolves against Crystal Palace, and both in that, Wolves magic 40 points already. Crystal Palace 30 points. Bit of a stumbling block recently they've hit, in terms of form, Drew. How do you see this one going? Wolves have lost the last 2, so they're not in great form themselves.
Yeah, they're still in that touching distance of, maybe top 4, but not realistically. So maybe they're looking for a European place like Europa League. So I don't think Crystal Palace has that much, going for them to aim for. So I think Wolves could probably push it off on just something to fight for. So they still have touching distance. They might as well give it a go. And they've got a good setup, but their goals aren't always there. But they have one of the best, defenses in terms of keeping, goal difference, their goals conceded down. So they're going to be tough to beat. So they can nick a goal, 1-0 Wolves could be the result.
And I can't remember his name, but the Wolves manager, Matt, he's pretty much, if you take away the prize-winning managers and everything like that, is he on for manager of the season? Has anyone else outperformed this Wolves manager in his first season?
You could argue a case that West Ham have outperformed. I mean, they did do well last year, but they've done it now consistently for 2 years, so it shows that last year wasn't a fluke. So shows that Moyes is doing an all right job there. But for me, manager of the year will always be whoever wins the Premier League. I reckon it's Jurgen Klopp. Liverpool are in phenomenal form. We are on for the quadruple. Do think we could probably do it as well. So, but with Wolves, I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know, to be honest. I'm torn on who I'd side with, but because I really like Palace under Vieira. I like the identity that he's brought to that team, to be honest, because since he's came in, they've just been a completely different side, and he's got some exciting players. Conor Gallagher, especially, he's been fantastic for them. So I'd like to see a Palace win, to be honest, but it probably would be a Wolves win. But I'd like to see Palace just purely because I'd like to see them a little bit higher up the table and secure the safety, because they're still not ultimately safe. They are only 9 points above the relegation zone. Anything can happen. So my heart's telling me Palace, but I do think it'll probably be a Wolves 2-1 win.
And Mike made a good point. Patrick Vieira's really changed how Palace are playing, Jamie, and he's been very unlucky. They've dominated some games and just come away with a draw, like conceding late on or losing in the last few minutes of a game. How do you think this Palace side are progressing? They're only on a -1 goal difference, so they seem to be doing well on both sides.
Yeah, he's done well. He's building a good young squad there with a big future. I like the look of Elise. I like the look of Eze. He brought in Edouard, who looks like a good striker. Mateta's coming into form. That Conor Gallagher, I know he's only on loan, but if they can keep him permanently, he would be a fantastic signing. I really do rate him highly. So, look, he's come in. He's brought a new squad from the Roy Hodgson era, really. He's bringing in that future. He likes the French connections as well for his players. I think he's a great manager. You can definitely in the 2 times where you've played them, you can tell they're a Patrick Vieira run team in the way that they fight for every ball, how hungry they are, and they never give up to the end. So I think he's unlucky to be where we are, as we just mentioned, 9 points away from the relegation zone. They've conceded a lot of last-minute winners, probably a lot of poor decisions as well along the road. We definitely had one of them at Selhurst Park, but I think Bruno Lage will do him here, and I think Wolves are a fantastic team. They don't concede many. So I'm going to back a Wolves 2-0 here at Molineux, but Patrick Vieira is a great manager.
Some might say Patrick Vieira is, having a bit of an audition to be Man City's new manager, similar to Mikel Arteta at Arsenal. They're 2 people that have worked within the Man City infrastructure, with Patrick Vieira in America and Arteta obviously being number 2. Arsenal, Watford. Arsenal look to be favourites for top 4 now. Watford look to be, one of the favourites for the drop. It's a simple game, Matty.
Yeah, Watford come up and go down every other year. It's boring, really, isn't it? Just rather than just stay down, does me head in like yo-yos. But I do think Arsenal will probably win. But then Watford have pulled off some mad results, haven't they, to beat United and that? So maybe they could pull off a mad result. They are at home. But I think it's pretty nailed on an Arsenal win there. Could be comfortable. I think it'll either be comfortable for Arsenal and would see it talking 3-4-0, or it'll be a tight 2-1 game in Watford, Nicky.
Which one are you going with?
I'll go with Arsenal battering them, just because I don't want to say Watford will win and they get battered.
I'll go with 3 as opposed to 4. You said 3-4. I'll give you the 3. Drew, Matty makes a good point. Like, Arsenal can sometimes, you feel like they're just going to struggle to do something. And is that because they've got such a young team that I think sometimes they don't have that mentality to break down teams if things don't seem to be going their way? But when it does go their way, they seem to just run away with things.
Yeah, I think Arteta actually has done a decent job clearing out the deadwood at the team. Like, he's gotten rid of a lot of the negative players in the dressing room. And I'm not a fan of Arsenal at all. They're one of my least favorite teams. So I hate to see them doing so well, but they've seemed to cast off that bottler mentality. They've been consistently performing.
Let's wait until they get into a game of some meaning before we call them, the cast off the bottler mentality.
That's true. I'll give you that. Against Chelsea, City, or Liverpool, I don't back them whatsoever. But when you look at who's around them for challenging, I think West Ham dropped off a bit too much to claim that 4th spot. So between them and United and Tottenham, I think they unfortunately are the ones that are going to claim that spot. And I don't see Watford putting up much of a fight, even though they are at home. They just have had a torrid last few months. They've just gone downhill, and I don't see them, saving themselves against Arsenal that's been picking up results pretty consistently. So 2-0 for Arsenal. Boring game, but they get the job done.
We're seeing in chat, Jamie, we could do with Martinelli. There's a couple of exciting youngsters in this Arsenal squad, and Matty's shaking his head straight away. But, who in this Arsenal squad would you steal? We've got some exciting youngsters on the list. Who do you think? Do you know what? If Liverpool could get their hands on him, he wouldn't be bad for us.
Yeah, I'm very impressed by Martin Odegaard and the work he's done, but I think it'd have to be one of the young lads, either Bukayo Saka or Martinelli. Martinelli definitely seems like Klopp's favourite with the way he's spoken about him in the past. But it'd have to be one of them, either Bukayo Saka or Gabriel Martinelli. I think Martinelli was way too harshly treated at the start of the season, not getting enough minutes. You can see now as he's come in how good he is. I thought in the cup as well, he gave Trent a bit of a torrid time in the opening 35, and like I said, Klopp loves him. So if I had to pick one of them, probably Martinelli.
And Arsenal, 3 of the last 4, the 3 wins in a row. Watford, a win, a loss, and a draw. Roy Hodgson, defensive masterclass. Still an Arsenal win, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I never know. One with Arsenal, because it's now in their hands, so it's a typical Arsenal game to bottle.
It's true.
And it's the top 4 race. At the moment, it seems like nobody wants it. As soon as someone has the 3 points in the graph to try and claim that top 4 by 6 points or something, they throw it away. So, but I'm going to have to back Arsenal. I'm going to go 2-0 to the Gunners.
Go on, Matty. Who would you take from the Arsenal team? I'm sure you're shaking your head at Martinelli furiously. Is there anyone, or are you with everyone in the chat, which is none of them are good enough?
I don't think anyone in that Arsenal side is good enough to play for Liverpool, even on the bench. I genuinely believe our bench options are better than every single one of them Arsenal team. If I had to take one, I'd probably go with Saka. I think he's the most exciting, but I don't think any of them go into our side. Like, can Saka break into that front 5 now? He's not best than any of them. So I wouldn't take any of them, to be honest.
So we've got 3-0, 2-0, 2-0. Make sure that you like and subscribe to the channel if you've not done so already. We're going to move into the 2 biggest games of the weekend. We'll start with the Manchester derby. I'm going to ask Matty the worst question I could possibly ask him, which is, are you a United fan this weekend?
I am, sadly.
I need to clip that and just play it back.
It's annoying because it gives them a good position to cement themselves in the top 4 as well. And I don't want United to get top 4. To be honest with you, I'd probably take a draw. I think we could still capitalise on a draw. It doesn't give United 3 points in the top 4 race either. And it's still City dropping points. But yeah, I mean, what would you... I know dropping 3 points is best than dropping 2 points, but I think City can slip up a few times before the end of this season, like touch wood, but...
Well, Ruben Diaz is rumoured to be out for 6 to 8 weeks, isn't he?
Yeah, but City at home as well, and I mean, I know it's an empty ad, but it's just they play better at home. Everyone plays better at home, and I don't know, United, but then United have been awful, haven't they? So, I'm going to go with a draw. I'm going to go with a 2-2 draw.
Both teams down to 9 men, so that players get sort of 3-match matches each, sort of a brawl breaks out.
I wouldn't mind, like, Fred or someone just 2-footing someone from City. Like, put or Bernardo Silva or Sterling out for a few weeks or something. Do you know what I mean? I'd be. That's what I want to see. I'm not really bothered. A draw would be better because I just don't want United to get 3 points either. And still 2 points drop for City, and I do think Liverpool can capitalise on that. So, yeah, draw.
It's funny, isn't it? Man City fans, and you know you've got the best player in the world when everyone makes this comparison. Everyone's like, "Oh, Ruben Diaz to Van Dijk." So you know, Drew, that you've got the best player in the world when everyone tries to compare him to yours. But Ruben Diaz being out for City, it's a big deal for them, isn't it? You know, I know they've got John Stones, Laporte, but this is who they put their defensive hat on. So, you know, is this going to be a rough couple of weeks for City? Does the pressure start to mount?
I was very excited when I saw that he was injured. Don't wish injuries on players too much, but in this case, I'll definitely take a hamstring injury for Ruben Diaz. Reminds me of, like, whenever Man City, I think it was Fernandinho, when he was out for a while, like, he was that linchpin holding things together after the season company retired, and we just capitalized on that. And I think that not having Ruben Diaz in defense when they come up against teams, like when they come up against us, when they come up against teams that are fighting to get out of relegation, they're like, those are the players that you need to just shore things up. And it's it's amazing to not have him in for the next 4 to 6 weeks. For United, though, I don't know. Before hearing the Ruben Diaz news, I was like, there's no way City's losing this game or drawing this game. Just hearing everything coming out of the locker room with United, it just seems so disjointed. And I don't see the team working as a team. So I don't think, you got players and like factions now. I don't see them supporting each other, going away to City. It just doesn't seem like a team that's playing well together. So maybe they can scrape out a draw since it's a derby, but I don't see it happening. I think it'll be a comfortable 2-0 win to City, unfortunately. But like Matty said, I think City will drop points later on the road. I don't think this is the last chance for City to slip up.
And this is the one Man City fans have been pushing for years, Jamie, isn't it? Man City fans trying to create a rivalry with somebody. Because nobody really cares about them. Is this the biggest game of Man City's season from a derby perspective?
Oh, no chance. Our game in April is definitely their biggest, and it is the biggest for English football as well at the minute, because I think that game in April kind of cements who walks away with the league this season. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see an upset. United's record in recent years at the Etihad is very, very good. 5 wins out of the last 7 with 1 draw and 1 loss. That some go in for an away in the derby, but this United team is probably one of the lowest that I've seen, despite where they are in the table. Like Drew just said, as a team, they just aren't working. It seems very disjointed from top to bottom at their club at the minute. And for one time only, I'm kind of hoping, well, I am hoping United win, but it would be the time that they let us down. I'm no sure about that. So as much as I'd love an upset, and recent records at the Etihad in this game suggests there could be an upset, I think City will do it comfortably, and I think it'll be 2-0, like Drew said.
Anthony in the chat, Alanga masterclass. He's come through well, actually. You've got to hold your hands up when a player comes through. He's come through quite well at United. He's come from nowhere. I think he's Swedish, isn't he?
Yeah.
Or Swedish and English.
Yeah, Swedish.
Split. But the pressure's on City. They've drawn 3, won 3. They have lost, one recently to Spurs. It's these games that they need to get through. It could go either way. But
who's the official for that game as well?
Michael Oliver.
Oh,
who's in the VAR booth? Now we need to know that as well, don't we, for Man City?
I don't know, but he'll be a City fan, whoever it is, to be honest.
That's a joke, that, to be fair. Like, as much as I hate Everton, if they go down, imagine if they go down by, 1 point. Do you know what I mean? Like, what could have maybe saved them in the Premier League? That decision is a joke. How on earth that can be, just an apology? I don't know what else they can do, but it's a joke.
The apology is interesting because that means they've accepted fault, which then opens them up to legal action. If Everton go down.
I mean, Everton should take legal action anyway. I can't believe I'm saying this, to be honest, but it's an absolute joke. And it's not just from a Liverpool perspective, because if Everton hypothetically would have scored that penalty, it helped Liverpool. It's just more, how on earth, as a Premier League official, ruled that not a penalty? Every man and the dog could see that was a penalty. If I asked my dog, he'd probably bark and say, yeah. Do you know what I mean? It was so stone cold obvious. It was a joke. How on earth that didn't get given as a pen? Mad. And it does make you think, is the match fixing going on? We've seen it, I'm not saying to the extent of Juventus with years and years ago, but it does happen in football. City've got the money, and they've certainly got the power to pay referees. Who knows? Because that decision, that VAR fella can't tell me. There's a team in Stockley Park, isn't there? How on earth have all them looked at that and went, on a pen, joke.
It's the duration they took as well. Do you think it was for the money to clear, Drew?
I mean, who knows at the end of the day? I'm just surprised that referee still has his job. Like, that is inexcusable. And the fact that they're making an apology, that there's no at least suspension for him, at the very least. But I remember, I think Jamie was mentioning it when Aston Villa stayed up. What was it? Bournemouth had the goal that was disallowed from goal line technology because it wasn't chalked on, and they were just like, sorry, we forgot to turn it on. You scored, but tough luck. I don't see anything bigger than the apology happening, but I'm disappointed. There's no sanctions on this referee, at least a suspension. But at the end of the day, it's what happened, and we still have the chance to beat City, and footballing gods give us some luck or some balance the scales somehow, and see if we can come up with a title win at the end of the day. Time to move on.
Now, before we get into the Liverpool-West Ham game, I'm going to let Matty just give us 2 minutes on Curtis Jones's first half performance, because on the chat, you were all over that, because that was a hell of a first half performance, wasn't it, in the FA Cup?
Yeah, listen, Curtis Jones, I've been singing his praises since day one on this channel. Since the very, very first videos we ever done, I've been singing his praises. And I'm made up that he's slowly starting to prove people wrong. He's so underappreciated by our fan base. He's better than most options. He's best in the Ox and that when he comes on. The game in the League Cup against Leicester, he came on and changed the game. I think it was Leicester. And then there was another game. It was boring, and he came on and changed the game. But then that first half FA Cup performance, he just shown what he can do. When he plays left centre mid, he's fantastic. But I think the problem with Curtis Jones is when he plays in, say, teams where you've got full strength and Curtis Jones when we've had injuries, I think he's too scared to make a mistake. So he always plays the safe bet. Where you've seen him in that team against Norwich on Wednesday, that he knew he was one of the more experienced players on that pitch, given how many performances he's had for Liverpool this season. And he just excelled. Whether that was because he was annoyed because he was left out of the final squad or what, we don't know. He didn't seem to celebrate much from what I seen at Wembley. So, but he's shown what he can do. And Klopp's a massive admirer of him. So when people are always slagging him off, he's not going anywhere. He's not. Klopp loves him and he sees something. And let's not forget, he has just turned 21. People compare him to Harvey Elliott. That's unfair, in my opinion, because Harvey Elliott's going to be a generational talent. He is world class. He was playing professional football when he was 16 for Fulham, and he's just unbelievable. So to compare him to Curtis Jones, Harvey Elliott's like a once in 1,000 players, in my opinion, who makes it that good. He's in that caliber of player. Where Curtis Jones is going about his business, and fans need to look at some of the performance he can do, because that performance against Norwich, he was fantastic, and we'll see more of that the more confidence he gets. But he's still a kid learning his trade, and I think people need to stop being so harsh on him, to be honest.
Yeah, but different players peak at different times as well, so we need to keep that in mind. Harvey Elliott might be, peaking really high now, but he could hit his peak soon. Take Michael Owen, for example. Once his hamstring started to go mid-20s, he started to go down, but at 18, 19, he was the best he was ever going to be. Now, I'm not saying Harvey Elliott's going to go down or anything like that, but different players peak at different times. Take Van Dijk. He peaked later on in his career, and Curtis Jones could very well be the same. I remember him fronting players up and holding the ball. And how many players stand with the ball in front of the defender and say, well, just take it if you can.
He's unbelievable as well. He's got skills in his locker if he wants. We've seen now against Norwich. When he's confident and when he believes he's the man, he's fantastic. And you can see he's got a fantastic curl and shot as well from the left side. So they'll come off the more and more he works on it. Don't forget he's learning from the likes of Mo Salah in terms of finishing and stuff like that. So I've got high hopes for Curtis Jones. I really have. And I think people do disrespect him too much because he's fantastic.
Now, Jamie, do you think Matty's just a little bit too optimistic because of family connections to Curtis Jones, or do you actually think he's as good as Matty's saying, or potentially as good as Matty's saying?
No, I really do. I think the fan base gets so trapped in social media nowadays, and if you just block out the social media perspective of Curtis Jones that we're receiving at the minute, he is a fantastic player. So I think he's held in such high regards because he's the next Scouts midfielder from the academy, and everyone's looking at that. And maybe think you look at Gerrard in the past, he's probably one of the last ones to come up through that position and do what Gerrard did. But Curtis is still 21. He's a star in the making for me. So if you give him time, he will be absolutely fantastic. You can see his hunger. I think I'd agree with Matty. I think he was frustrated against that he wasn't involved in the squad against Chelsea at Wembley. But what I like about Curtis compared to the other alternative in Ox, it is Curtis fights for his spot. Against Norwich, that was his chance to prove, I've got a shot to get in the squad for the next game. But unfortunately, he come off injured. Hopefully, like Klopp's saying, it's just minor. But what did Ox do in that game to show a bright spark? Curtis fights for it. And I think that's what you need for a squad player. If you're coming in, when you get the chance to prove yourself, then you're going to keep your place in the squad. So I think he's a fantastic player. Like we said, he's 21, so you've just got to give the lad time.
2 more years of Thiago, if he's going to play that number 6 role, like left central midfield, is there a better teacher, Drew? than Thiago to get you ready to be that, the starting central midfielder at 23, 24 years old?
I think he's got all the right players around him to help him to up his game, and he clearly has the determination to stick with it. Local lad, he loves the club, and it's clear that he wants to be in the team. Just his reaction to being left out of the League Cup final squad says everything. I think time is an interesting element in this because I know Gerrard said about his progression into the first team. He said that not only do you have to be the best in the academy, but you have to be better than the player who has your spot in the first team. And I think Liverpool's quickly getting to the point that not only that, you have to be one of the best players in the world, because Liverpool players are now some of the best players in the world. So I think Curtis has a massive hurdle to jump in that regards. But the fact that he's 21 years old and already getting as much time as he is in the squad, that speaks volumes for his ability and what Klopp thinks of him for going forward. So I think if he can keep on that progression level, that in the next few years, and he's okay with fighting for a first team position over the next few years, by the time he's 23, around like Emir Can kind of level. Different players, obviously, but I'm talking about him getting that quality of game where you're like, actually, this is one of our better midfielders. And who knows where he is at 25, 27. We could be seeing one of the best English midfielders in a while.
Completely agree. And let's move on to the Liverpool West Ham game. Surely Minamino's done enough to keep his place, Matty. Drop Salah, for the Japanese scorer, best fifth choice in the league, isn't he?
He's fantastic for what he's used for, and he seems pretty happy to do it as well. I'm sure there was an interview maybe a few months back, where someone said about, does he want to play more, and he said, I'm at the best club in the world and I'm happy what I'm doing. And he scored more goals than Messi this year in less minutes. You know what I mean? Like, for what we're using him for, he's been fantastic. But he doesn't nowhere near the starting 11 for me against West Ham. That's a massive game. That West Ham game, that it's huge. West Ham are playing really, really well under David Moyes. Again this season, the fifth, fighting for Europe. They're only 2 points off United in fourth. Yeah, they lost the last game. They've drew 1-2 as well. But I do think West Ham are a good side. But I'm always confident of a Liverpool win. I remember when we played Leeds and we done a stream and I said 6-0 and everyone laughed at me. And that happened, but I'm always confident for Liverpool win, and I just hope Luis Diaz starts, to be honest with you, because he is going to be world class. He is unbelievable. At Wembley, he was fantastic. I often found myself at a part of the game just drifting off and watching him. He's just a joy to watch, and when he adds that final touch to get him in scoring positions or gets that final shot off to his game, he's going to be fantastic. And I do think he will add that. I think he's just finding his feet, and to come into this Liverpool side, like Drew's just said, it's some of the best players in the world in this Liverpool side, and to come in and play this well and look like you've been there for years, it's a credit to Luis Diaz. So I'd like to see him start with Salah and Mane, because obviously José started in midweek, and he's only just come back from an injury, so I don't think José will start. I do think he'll be on the bench, and we've got Inter Milan as well on Tuesday, so he's probably going to be saving José for that. So I'd like to see Diaz, Mane and Salah, because them two play every game. If they don't play, they get a cob on, and you want to play them, to be honest with you. They're both playing fantastic, and I can't see nothing but a Liverpool win. I'm going to go 4-1, to be honest. Everyone always raises eyebrows at my prediction.
Well, they did it last time, didn't they?
More often than not,
they did it last time.
Yeah, everyone done it when I said 6-0, and I just honestly, Liverpool at Anfield, a different gravy. That atmosphere was dead against Norwich, but who wants to go to that game? Like, do you know what I mean? I was away in Poland, to be fair, but most people who I know didn't go to the game. I think it's going to be pumping. The fans know it's a massive game, especially the Manchester derby this weekend. It's a huge game. Liverpool need to get 3 points against West Ham, so Anfield's going to be rocking, and I can't see nothing but us absolutely battering them, to be honest.
Are you that confident, Jamie, when they're in such good form and they did us last time?
No, I've got to be honest, I was an eyebrow raiser to the 4-1, but hopefully Mystic Matty does it again. I wouldn't I wouldn't say I'm that confident, but I'm confident we'll get the 3 points. I think it's hard. It's hard to look beyond a Liverpool winning the form we're on in the players that we've got available. I think, look, Thiago's a massive miss. That let's not take away from that. But the squad depth that we got at the minute is fantastic. Henderson, Harvey, and Fab, I think will be the midfield with Naby and Curtis being doubtful. So. And then we got the attack power force, and our defence is really coming into its own. Virgil's definitely picking up what he used to be recently. I think it just goes to show how good he is. After the injury he's had, he's still the best defender in the world. So, look, we're much more stable than we was at the start of the season when we went into that West Ham game. And so I think we're a lot less prone to a loss here. Like Matty said, I can't wait to be there. The atmosphere is going to be unreal, and it's a 5:30 kickoff, so it's under the lights at Anfield. That everyone's starting to get that belief back that the Premier League charge is back on. That the title race is slowly opening itself up. So these are the games that we've got to keep winning. Each game's a cup final. So I wouldn't. I'd say 2-0. I hope Matty gets it right with 4-1, but I'm going to say 2-0.
Jamie makes a good point. Van Dijk seems to be forgetting his injury now, doesn't he? He started to strut around like he owns the place again, and that level of confidence looks to be coming back to his game, Drew. And you know, how good is it to just see Van Dijk just not even have to get out of second gear and control? You know, Chelsea, for example, Lukaku when he came on, he didn't put him under any pressure. You know, how good is it to see him do this type of thing? And he's never lost at Anfield, has he? Ever.
Never.
Ever. Which is ridiculous.
Yeah, so I think the cap on all of that is his penalty against Kepa. Like the confidence to just go that side and just stare him down afterwards. It's like, all right, Van Dijk's back. If there was any questions or doubts, like his confidence is full levels. And I think that carries over to his game. I think injury aside, like if you have full confidence, you're playing at your best. Whereas if you're injured, your confidence isn't quite at 100%, but quite clearly he's been putting in performances lately that have shown that he's back to his best, and you know, probably raising the ceiling for his own expectations. End of this season, next season, we'll see where it takes. But Matty's wave of optimism has caught me, and I was going to go for a 2-0, but I'm going to push it up to 3-0. I think, you know, why not? Liverpool's been...
And he makes a good point there as well, saying he's not 100% yet, and that's the good thing for Liverpool and the scary thing for everybody else. Virgil van Dijk is not 100% yet. In certain games, you'll see he won't dive into. I mean, he's never dived into challenges, but he's not as, I don't know what the word is to say, but he's not what he was before the injury, and he's still this good, and that just shows how good Virgil van Dijk is. I mean, there's a reason my dog's called Virgil. He's the best footballer I've seen play for Liverpool. To be honest with you, like he's fantastic, and that penalty, the mind games before it, like I don't know if it's shown it much on telly how bad Kepa's mind games were trying to be in that final, but he was too cocky against Van Dijk, and like Drew said, that penalty is fantastic, and he's the best player in the world, in my opinion, at centre half, and probably one of the best centre halves to ever play the game of football.
I mean, it's lucky there was a net there, because the power Van Dijk hit that shot was pretty much going to be some fan could do in for grievous bodily harm, because that was hit hard. But you know, Anthony's saying Van Dijk for a late charge for the Ballon d'Or. I think that'll be tight on Salah. I think that'll be really tight on Salah, but Van Dijk's European, and we know how that goes.
It'll be interesting, won't it, this year, to be honest with you, because there has only been Salah and Lewandowski performing. Ronaldo and Messi have both not been as good as the once was, Messi especially. And Salah's comments this week pretty much say the exact same views I've got on all them stupid awards.
Who do you think's leading the charge, Jamie, in terms of Ballon d'Or? You know, is it Mane? Because obviously he won the African Cup of Nations. No,
it's definitely Mo. From look, it only starts this year, so if it was on this season, I think it's Mo's won already. But you can't look past Mo Salah. He's absolutely phenomenal. I think you can have any team you'd like to put out in the world. If you have Mo Salah, there's always a chance of winning because he can create something from anything. His goal stats are no joke, is it? And the assists, joint top assister in the Premier League as well this season. So, look, Salah's an absolute joke, and I think if anyone tops him to the Ballon d'Or, if he carries on his magnificent form, I think it's just rigged it. And like he said, no one understood how he got 7th in the Ballon d'Or last year. But you never know with these dodgy decisions. But Salah's definitely deserved one to win, and hopefully he has 4 trophies to back it up. But amen to that.
Fingers crossed. And I just want to finish just thinking about sort of the West Ham game, Drew. It's as confident as we are, and we should be. We're at home. Van Dijk's never lost. This level of confidence, West Ham are probably one of the harder opponents that we're going to play on this run-in. You know, they are one of the better teams in the Premier League in one of the better forms, and that just shows you how good form we're in, doesn't it? That we're this confident.
Yeah, 100%. I definitely don't think West Ham is a team that would go in just being like, oh, we'll get the points, like we'll get it done. We have to show up, we have to perform our best. But I think that the addition of Luis Diaz has changed the mold for Liverpool's forwards. Like kind of like how when Jota came in and we're like, oh wow, we have another player who's top quality, who's actually pushing, Bobby Firmino and Mane for a starting spot. Like it adds more life into the team. It, isn't always just look for the same old 3 to make something happen. And with Luis Diaz stepping into that same mold of challenging for a first team place and then adding that extra level, different quality of game, than the other front 3. It's similar to how Mane first played, but he's, coming off amazingly well. Jota's ability to find the back of the net. All of those things just add extra dimensions that now West Ham doesn't have to just look at Mo Salah and Sadio Mane. They now have to keep an eye out for Luis Diaz and then Jota on the bench. So there's just so much quality in the Liverpool lineup, especially in the final third, with players hungry to get that starting spot. So I think that's the difference between, let's say, this time now and this time, like last year or earlier in the season. Where you just didn't have as many options as you do now, and you didn't have as much quality. I know Liverpool's lacking in the midfield a bit with injuries, but if we'll see if Curtis Jones starts, but I'm still okay with as long as Fabinho's in there. Henderson will do his job, and Ox, as much as he's been hot and cold, he's still got to put himself in the shop window. So he'll do a job at some ways. If not, throw on Minamino or Jota at the end and just go all out. I think we got the depth and we got the quality to make this as easy as you're saying. Like this, there's a reason we're confident, and it's the quality in our squad.
One final question before we wrap up. Everton or Leeds going down if Rafinha's got a Shaqiri type buyout clause in his contract, Matty?
I really want Everton to go down just for a season, just for 1 year. I'll miss the derby too much. Don't want to laugh at them too much. And then that'll always be on them then, won't it? But people say, I know it will affect the economy slightly within the city. But
I don't know. They'll be winning, won't they, in the Championship?
Yeah, I do think Everton have got a decent fan base as much as we slate them. So I think if they're in the Championship, they will still have fans going to the match. And many Championship teams, away fans, will probably come up because they probably haven't come up against Everton before. It's a good away day for their fans. So I do want Everton to go down, to be honest with you. And I don't think Liverpool are after Rafinha. I think Luis Diaz was the target, and I think that's who we've got. I don't think we'll go and get Rafinha. Because he's not gonna come and play, really, is he? Like, he's not gonna break into that front 5. Why would he come and be like a 5th, 6th choice option? I mean, if he's going cheap, then get him. But I don't think Leeds will go down, to be honest with you. I think they will kick on a little bit under Jesse Marsh, and I would really, 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 really love Everton to go down, just purely for the amount of mates I've got who are Everton fans who I'd love to wind up. So for me, Everton gotta go down. don't care about Rafinha, Everton down, and just for how funny it'll be. Because if we win the quadruple and they go down,
Oh, okay, yeah, I'll give you that.
Just the icing on the cake, really, innit? Because the town's going to be bouncing. It was when we won the league. Imagine if we win the quadruple, it will be bouncing while the Everton fans are fuming that they're in the Championship. Give that to me any day.
Right, thank you very much, Matty, Jamie, Drew. This has been LFC Transfer Room with our Premier League room, where we've had a look at the games coming up this weekend. Make sure you tune into that Norwich versus Brentford classic that we're all really excited about. And then straight after the Liverpool West Ham game, which you might want to watch. Take care, all, and catch you in the next one.